Manhattan, the economic center, which is also the economic center, the downtown of the biggest city in the United States and the second largest on the continent, the city as a whole contributing to 8% of the entire country's GDP alone. Each day, 1.6 million people from across the city and general metro area commute to Manhattan for work, via a variety of different modes such as the subway or commuter rail modes like the Long Island Railroad and the Metro North, even the buses, and of course my beloved Staten Island Ferry. However, one mode stands out from the rest. No, it's not the Mayflower, whatever that thing is. It's the one that the city is bent over backwards to accommodate, yet its congestion never seems to end. It's cars. According to this pie chart from transportation expert and consultant Charles Kamenoff, which just had to use the color pink as a background color for some odd reason, the amount of people arriving via automobile, whether it's their personal vehicle or a rideshare like Uber or Lyft or a yellow cab, are about 15.6% of commuters, at least in 2019. Despite this small minority of commuters, Manhattan streets are severely congested. The average travel speed for all motor vehicles below 60th Street reached 7 miles an hour, with speeds reaching almost 4 miles an hour in Midtown. Despite these abysmal speeds so slow it's significantly faster to ride a city bike than a taxi, not to mention cheaper, we still have streets in Manhattan that are built like this, and this, and this, and that too. There's many more examples, and that's not counting the FDR and West Street or Joey DiMaggio Parkway or 11th Avenue or 12th. How many names do you need for one stretch of road? My point is that all that space is dedicated to the most space inefficient method of transport in the place where space is the most valuable. You have car infrastructure in Manhattan, roadways, on-street parking, and parking garages taking up an area equivalent to almost 4 times the area of Central Park, enabling cars to keep screwing up the air quality, killing 10 pedestrians a month on average in the city alone, not even counting car-on-car crashes, and making a huge amount of noise, and the exorbitant price of road maintenance. And with all those adverse effects and all that space just to move 717,000 vehicles per day, most of them with just one person inside, taxis also usually with one passenger. Meanwhile, a couple tunnels with a bunch of trains under Lexington Avenue move 1.3 million per day. Almost twice the amount in area, 4 times that of Central Park does across the entire borough. And that's only counting the Lexington line. 7th Avenue, 1.1 million a day. 8th Avenue, 1 million per day. So, now that we know a few reasons why cars are so bad, let's talk about a few reasons why banning them from Manhattan, or at least below 60th Street, will be one of the best changes in the city's history. First of all that space being taken up by cars will be freed, including parking garages, which could be sold to new developers who could build more housing with big zoning in its place. Something we desperately need nowadays. These changes are also good for small businesses and just businesses in general. For example, whenever an Open Streets or Summer Streets program happens, the area springs to life, with thousands of people who could stop by at, say, a deli or a local restaurant. Businesses within an Open Streets area saw a 19% increase in sales above their pre-COVID baseline. Another reason why banning cars would be good is the reversal of all the bad effects of the automobile. Air quality would become better, crossing the street and cycling would become safer. The city would become so much more quieter, as cars are the source of most noise in cities. Road maintenance will become hell of a lot cheaper, as 2 or more ton vehicles take a toll on asphalt. Buses would run so much faster, and trams would become even more feasible. Now, in the outer boroughs, things get a bit interesting. Banning cars in the outer boroughs is obviously impossible as it stands currently, but adding bike lanes protected by actually solid barriers, preferably with trees planted within, like in this concept art I've drawn, and trams, like in this other concept art I drew, would do a ton at making our system have more capacity on crowded, formerly bus lines, especially select bus service lines like the BX12, B44, B46, and, I'm a bit biased here, but S79. Another thing that would help is expanding the subway in the outer boroughs. Extensions like a Utica Avenue line or the 6 or D train to Co-op City would make many people's commutes a lot easier and faster, and would also benefit drivers too, as it would reduce the number of car trips being made. So now that we know all this, what's the city doing now to work towards this? Well, there's a new 3rd Avenue redesign between 59th and 96th Street that comes with a dedicated bus lane and bike lane, curiously without a protective barrier, seemingly not even those horrible plastic bollards. There's also one for 9th Avenue between 34th and 59th that nearly doubles the sidewalk space. Cool. There's also another for 6th Avenue that introduces a parking protected bike lane, which I guess is better than just the buffer, but it still enables people to drive. And apparently, they're gonna remove a lane from cars on Lexington to expand the sidewalk. There's also the Open Streets and Summer Streets program, but I argue that all of these are just not good enough. We need a fully fledged transition from cars, and these proposals, as much as I like them and are steps in the right direction, are just beating around the bush or throwing shoes at it. Though we are seeing more quality bike lanes and street redesign proposals pop up in the outer boroughs, especially in Brooklyn, like that McGinnis Boulevard redesign. At the end of the day, my optimistic dreams of a car-free Manhattan and bicycle-friendly, transit-oriented outer boroughs are maybe a little bit unrealistic. A very small fraction of trips into Manhattan simply have to be made by motor vehicle, and there should be exceptions in place to accommodate that. As for the outer boroughs, well, NIMBYs, or the not in my backyard types, will always be quick to assemble in droves like a short-sighted and selfish version of the Avengers to shut down any and all changes to streets, avenues, and boulevards alike that cater to pedestrians and cyclists, like what's currently happening with that McGinnis redesign. And I will admit that the MTA needs to be improved a lot, in a way like it was when Andy Byford was in its ranks, which is a whole nother video topic. Perhaps I'm looking too far ahead, and these baby steps towards a better city reflect how the city's infrastructure is now. With about 1,000 other things to say, but no idea where to start, I'm forced to end it on a disappointed note. Maybe one day our city becomes the one that I and many other urbanists dream of, but for now, we're just forced to sit and listen to NIMBYs complain about one of the 6 car lanes being given to pedestrians and cyclists for the 1,000th time. I don't really have an outro. Well, actually, I kind of do. So I just started making videos like these, and feedback is desperately needed. So what are your thoughts on both the topic and the atrocious way I wrote this video? What did you like, and especially what did you dislike besides my opinion? I kind of need all that to improve, so yeah. I was inspired by a lot of people, like Jay Foreman and even Mystic Transit, who got me into rail fanning somehow. And by extension is why I have those subway clips from earlier. And of course, Brit Monkey's Let's Ban Cars video, which opened my eyes as to how much of a scourge cars are to our cities. And also the caretaker for giving me the channel name idea. What do you think AJC stands for? Also, all the links to the sources, okay. All the links to my, I'm bad at speaking. All the links to the sources are in the description. It's not that hard to say. I don't know how to end a video like this.